Good morning and welcome back. We are back with a Fox News alert, and our top story this morning, all eyes are on President Trump. In just a few hours, he's expected to sign a border security bill and take executive action to declare a national emergency.
So, is the national emergency the only option that he has left to try and secure the border? Here to weigh in on that is Vice President for Foreign Policy at the Heritage Foundation, James Carafano. Sir, thanks for coming on this morning. Is that his best and only option at this point? There's nothing he could do that's less drastic?
Yeah. You know, first we ought to start out by saying, one, we're in like round 2 of a 10-round fight. So this is just the beginning of this debate of how we're going to secure the border. And two is what we're arguing over. You talk to the people that actually work on the border, the national security professionals, and I just talked to one of them yesterday, and they said, look, you can make a credible case for several hundred miles of either new or replaced border. So what we've really done here, just where we're starting from is, basically, the president's opposition threw the baby down the stairs, and we're having a partisan debate over something which really just was common sense. So that's where we're starting from.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second, because people on the other side will argue, and we've heard them argue for a while now, this isn't actually a crisis at the border. If you look at some numbers here, this is from our brain room of U.S. Border Patrol apprehensions at the southwest border. In 2000, it was 1.6 million. In 2018, it was nearly 400,000. So people argue, but the numbers have gone down. But is 400,000 still a crisis, in your opinion?
Right. So first of all, what they're not counting is the people that got through, and they're also not counting, which has become the real problem, because the nature of the problem is shift. The problem is, okay, you're catching people, but because of the way the laws become structured, and they can make fraudulent claims, and they're allowed to stay in the country, and then they just abscond. So the problem is we're catching them, but now the Democrats are increasingly structuring the system so you can't detain them and deport them. Yeah. So yes. So literally what just happened here is, because look, this is, let's be honest, this is not a good solution, and this is not even, this is like a tiny step in solving the problem. But because of the efforts to frustrate deportation and detention and limit the building of the wall, this is essentially a massive ad saying, if you want to illegally come into the United States, now is the time.
You know, no matter how you look at this politically, I mean, it's crazy to think that you've had a problem like this for maybe 30 years. Yeah. That we've had this porous border and people coming across. And then you hear Pelosi yesterday at her press conference say, this is not an emergency. I mean, how do you marginalize something like that to that point where it's, I mean, this is, it might not be an emergency. We're not going to die tomorrow if we don't fix it, but it's a disaster.
Well, right, I just gave you that number from 2000. Why hasn't something been done already?
And nobody does anything. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, this isn't a 30-year problem, because the nature of border security keeps changing. This is a problem that was started under the last administration, because in order to please the left and say, yeah, we care about border security, but we don't really care about border security, they kept imposing these ways in which it was more hard to detain and deport people, and they kept sending signals out. Please come here illegally. Say you're a child. We'll let you stay here. So the market has adapted. People have come up, are adapting to these ways to get into the United States. So there's a new problem at the border, which is you have to keep them out to begin with, because once they get in, the Democrats have made it almost impossible to deport them. So yes, it is a crisis. It's a crisis that was created by Nancy Pelosi's party, and now their answer is it's not a crisis because they want open borders, right? So for them, it's not a crisis. Of course not. They're getting what they want. The policy is working. What is the problem here?
And they have flipped so fast on this. In just the last 5-7 years, their position has gone from over here to over here, and they are unapologetic for it. James, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Good having you. Thanks.
All right.